Roll call, please.
Jonathan Ramsey,
Here.
Marianne Rosa,
Here.
Ken Demirs,
Here.
Robert DeCina,
Here.
Anthony DeBona,
Here.
Gary Lafferty,
Here.
Robert Ritalik,
Here.
Denise Russ,
Here.
and Rachel Ryan.
Here.
Thank you. First, I just want to welcome our new members to the Town Council, Gary Lafferty and Denise Russ, and everyone else that was re-elected this time around. Next is public comment. If you'd like to address us, please come to the microphone, state your name and address. Anyone? There should be a red light if it's on. Looks like a little, there we go.
I'm always hitting the microphone. Okay, my fault. All right, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. Catherine Camera, 31 Cottage Place in Oakville. I did send some emails to your email address, so I don't know if they're going to get answered. One of the things I wanted to know about was who set up those two seminars. One was for Freedom of Information, and the other was for was supposed to be for Robert's Rules. I'm kind of curious how much money we spent on those, because the second one was almost a repeat of the first. I think the last 20 minutes jammed in Robert's Rules. So I'd like to know who set those up, what kind of information they had going forward, because the second presenter actually said he knew that we had had one and he wasn't going to repeat, and then he did for an hour and 20 minutes, or hour and 40 minutes. I did have questions that I wanted to ask. I think my brain was sleeping and I never even bothered to ask them. So I do want to know how much money we spent on those. I also asked a question just the other day, because I'm told at Planning and Zoning that if you give them any documents when you're talking at public participation, they just go in the trash, and I do think that's a violation of Robert's Rules. I know that they don't have to put it on the agenda, obviously, because you're just showing up, but if you give something to a board or a council, I do believe it's part of the record. So I've been asking them to clarify that. I did send the last email I sent to your email as well, because they're not answering the question, and I would like to know what happened to the documents I gave them at the last meeting. I also want to say hello to you, to Gary and Denise. It's nice to see new people on the board. And lastly, I would like to point out that I know that Mr. Demirs won his seat this time, and when I attended the last Planning and Zoning, the first thing, I was late for the meeting. I know he was being congratulated. But I have a question for basically all of you, coming from a person who is in the process of an appeal with Planning and Zoning, spending my own money, myself and 3 other people. This matter is up at the Superior Court in Litchfield. So as the body who appoints these people and then oversees these people, I said it the last time, although Mr. Demirs was appointed to your council, that as a person being elected, I mean, I get it if he feels that, this is okay. Do the other 8 of you feel that it's okay? Because it really doesn't look good to the public. There being the appeal, one of the main parts of the appeal is that we feel that Planning and Zoning did not follow their own regulations. So when we take it through and we get I guess we'll have to have a judge rule on it, I think it's really inappropriate to have someone on the council who also sits on a commission that has legal action pending, because you are the authority overseeing the commissions. I think it's inappropriate, but I realize that it's up to each of you, but I would ask the other 8 of you, if you feel that it's inappropriate, you might just want to mention that to your colleague. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'll close public comment. Motion for the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of November 1st, 2021.
Is there a second? Any comments or corrections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Got 3.
You ready? I make a motion to approve the special meeting minutes of November 8th, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any corrections or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Chairman's report. A couple different things. One, some of you guys may be aware, but the town was in the process of setting up official watertownconnecticut.org email addresses for each of us. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll be in communication with the town manager's office to have that set up for everyone. Most of us have received iPads from the town in the past that could be used, and the new members will be issuing those to you shortly. One of the things that we wanted to change for the new year, in the past, all the meeting packets were emailed to us as well as personally hand-delivered, particularly the Friday before the meeting. What we are currently suggesting is that we still receive those emails, and if you want a hard copy, either you could request one from the manager's office, or there'll also be a hard copy for you available at the meetings themselves. This just will save some of the administrative burden of printing them all out in advance and having them hand-delivered. Next is a couple changes related to the subcommittees. On the Ordnance Subcommittee, we removed 2 previous members, Lou Raza and Jeff Desmarais, and we are adding Denise Russ to that. So the list as a whole will be Anthony DeBona, Herm DeCina, Ken Demers, and Denise Russ. On Public Works, we removed Jeff Desmarais, and we're adding Gary Lafferty. So that's Ken Demers, Rob Vitalik, Herm DeCina, Rachel Ryan, and Gary Lafferty. Finance Committee, that's Town Council as a whole. On the Ethics Committee, there's no change there, which was Mary Ann Rosa, Anthony DeBona, Herm DeCina, Rachel Ryan, and Rob Vitalik. As far as committee liaisons, on the Police Commission, previously it was Lou Raza. It's going to Herm DeCina. For the Board of Ed, I was previously the liaison. Mary Ann Rosa is going to be the new liaison for the Board of Ed. Fire Department, no change there, still Rob Vitalik. And on the Economic Development liaison, we're switching it up there, removing Anthony DeBona and adding Ken Demers. And we had a subcommittee related to the Munson House. I'm going to kind of bring that back on the list, which previously was Mary Ann, Ken, and Jeff Desmarais. Jeff's removed, and Gary Lafferty is being added. And no further comment from me. So, Mark, anything with the town manager's report?
Thank you. Burlington Construction has continued to work on the punch list and is narrowing down what is left. HVAC evaluation is still ongoing. Steelbrook Greenway, our interviews have concluded. The committee has made their evaluations, and the results have been forwarded to an oversight organization, VHB, Vaness, Hangen, Bruslin. We will be entering into negotiations with one firm for the scope and cost of the work. That's the normal process for this type of grant opportunity. I believe I mentioned to you recently, Small City Housing Grant will be bringing a representative to give an overview. The Housing Authority has contacted the Town Manager's Office and requested that we do a pass-through small city grant. They're looking for approximately $1 million for capital needs, and that facilitation needs to go through the town. ARPA, we've had our second meeting, November 9th. There were many ideas discussed. Noted in your packet is a request for a special town meeting for allocation of funds for breathing apparatus for the fire department. Just an update on the 2022 budget overages on our public buildings. We've had some overages. One is surrounding gas and diesel pricing. We had anticipated around $1.32 for gas and $1.36 for diesel, and we were able to lock in at $2.29 for gas and $2.20 for diesel. So there is going to be some overages on those consumables. We've also had several large ticket items, large meaning about $5,000 for repair on the HVAC roof unit at the PD. There was a $4,000 bat removal for the town hall, a $2,000 electrical repair at the senior center, $5,500 on a roof highway repair, which is just a temporary repair. We also had $5,000 at the senior center HVAC system, and some smaller ticket items. As I had discussed in the past, the cleaning of the PD, we do need to get that a deep clean, and that's going to be a $5,000 expense. We're waiting for a second bid for that. So there are some overages. It's in the big picture. You know, if we could maintain from here on out, we're still 6 months left in our budget, but we may have some overages as we come to the conclusion of this year's budget. The Old Town Hall, 37 DeForest Street. Mr. Sullivan has done extensive research on his business model and concluded that he could no longer go through with the sale. He has withdrawn his bid along with, following the contract that we entered into. The property is back up for sale. I do have somebody who reached out to me at the end of last week. They're interested in purchasing the town hall and possibly leasing the Munson House. There is interest, so we'll put it back out there and see what happens. I'm glad you brought up about the Munson House Committee. We're going to need to get that up and going and make a decision on what we want to try and do with that property. I met with Suzette Pone and our bonding agent. Based on the current potential projects, such as the Board of Education capital needs, our roads issues, community center and police department build-outs, we concluded that it'd be best that we provide potential project costs to our bonding agent. He could create bonding scenarios for us, which I could then bring back to the council. And then you can, work through maybe putting in a 5 or 10 year capital needs plan and kind of get a structure for what it would look to bond these projects so you could better make decisions moving forward. My last reminder on CCM, I'm sure you're tired of hearing, but CCM is on November 30th and December 1st. If anyone is interested in going, you need to reach out this week to let Lisa know so we can make reservations for you. COVID-19, Torrington Area Health updated the town on November 4th, and Watertown has 29 confirmed cases over the last 2 weeks. That's a reduction from the last reporting of 51 positive cases. And in addition, the report noted that the 65 and over group is at 96.8% vaccinated. Our 25 to 64-year-olds are at greater than 72%. And we're still, although we're well into that 5-year-old to 17-year-old, that group is growing as well. White collar negotiations, the tentative agreement is out there. I'm hoping that that will be presented by our next council meeting, and we'll have an answer on the contract. Communications union talks are still ongoing, and then I'm dealing with some personnel issues. If you're interested, reach out to me and I could explain it to you, personally. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Any business?
I make a motion to approve the resolution setting the date, times, and place for conducting regular town council meetings in 2022, as well as the method for calling special town council meetings.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Item B, I move to set a special town meeting to be held on December 6th, 2021, at 6:30 PM at the Watertown Town Hall Council Chambers to consider the appropriation of $575,000 of the American Rescue Plan Act funds for the purchase of self-contained breathing apparatus for the Watertown Fire Department.
Is there a second?
Second.
Do you guys have either a presentation or any comments you want to make toward the tanks?
We're very happy that the town has recognized that this is an important thing for us. This is something we've been trying to replace for close to 4 years now. Grants and just not forward. So it's something that's going to put us right on the right track to get all the members safe.
Thank you.
An overview, not all the council members had the reasons why we had chosen that.
What had happened was 3 years ago, we replaced half of our air packs with new ones, and we was going to, attrition, we were going to start replacing them. What happened was the vendor we used decided it was no longer going to compete, and they went through from making the apparatus, which to us now, there's no parts available, and we can't use one piece of apparatus for SCBA versus another. We have to stay with one vendor, so everybody's the same, everything's cohesive. So that's our issue right now, we just don't have the vendors. There's only 2 major vendors out there now, which is Scott and MSA. We're in the process of testing both to see which one best fits us, but we're pretty on path of where we're going. So the 575 will work, we'll get this project done.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from town council? Yes?
I just have 2 questions. I don't remember if I read it or it wasn't there, but how many are we talking about?
How many air packs?
Yes.
What it is for NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, they recommend that for every seat and apparatus, there is an air pack for that seat. So we have 60 seats, I believe what it is. So 60 is the number of apparatus that we're going to be purchasing.
Thank you. And one more. What is the limit before we have to go to referendum when the town votes on this? This is 500.
It was 25,000, I believe, is what the charter revision changed it to. So any appropriations above 25,000 has to go to a special town meeting.
So how can a
So what this
special
vote is
meeting-
doing is sending it to the town meeting. We'll discuss it and vote on it then. This is just step 1 to get us to that special town meeting.
Oh, okay, because I saw that and I didn't think it was that much at a town meeting. I mean, we need to get them for the gentleman, but, okay, thank you.
Anyone else? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Item C, I move to approve the bid waiver for the purchase of treated salt from Morton Salt for $31.62 per ton.
I'll second it.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Was that for the salt? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I had a question. I didn't catch. Can
Okay.
I ask it?
Yep.
Okay. Did we go with other towns like we used to do in the past, or is this on our own?
It's grouped in with the state contract, and then there's a special allocation for the treated salt, if I recall.
Okay. So we're going in with other towns?
Correct, but, yep,
Okay.
through the state bidding process.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Item D, I move to approve an appropriation in the amount of $3,604.48 for police overtime reimbursement for DUI, littering, speeding, and cell phone enforcement.
Is there a second?
Second.
All this money was through grants and other revenue sources to pay for these officers. Any other comments, questions?
Could I ask a question,
Yep.
please? Chief, I don't know if you can speak to this, but how successful was this operation in enforcing these traffic violations?
This is the one that looks like a face. There you go.
There we go.
So this reimbursement is split into two separate sources. One is DUI enforcement, and it's the second of the reimbursement of our current DUI enforcement period, which did actually just end on September 30th. That enforcement period runs from October 1st to September 30th. It's a federal fiscal year. And we've submitted our last reimbursement just recently, which we should be getting in a couple months. This money funds a DUI traffic checkpoint, and we also do mutual aid. We regionalize with other towns, particularly Naugatuck. So we do one with Naugatuck, and we do one here. So we send officers to Naugatuck, and Naugatuck sends officers here when we do them. This also funds roving traffic patrol units where officers go out in a patrol car with a specific purpose of just looking for DUI violations. And over the course of this grant, I'd say we've had probably less than 10 DUIs that we've actually been able to find through the use of this grant. The other small amount of money is the $477.50 comes from a reimbursement from the state's Centralized Infraction Bureau for any speeding, littering, or distracted driving, namely, use of handheld devices, any infraction tickets that we give out to the motoring public. I believe the town gets, I think it's 10% back on all those fines. I hope that answers your question.
Yes,
Terrific.
thank you.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Item E, I move to approve the resolution authorizing an appropriation in the amount of $10,798.75 for tax refunds.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Item F, I move to approve the resolution authorizing the tax refunds.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Participate.
Have a good night.
Oh, they don't-
Recording stopped.
You know what? Disappointing.